Hello everyone, my name's Tyler. Welcome to another episode of Fortnite Battle Royale Ideas, the series where you give your ideas for Fortnite and I'll give you my thoughts and implementations on the ideas. In today's video, we will be discussing the idea of a jetpack, an idea that has made its way into the game, but at the time of making this video has only been announced. So here's what I want you to do. If you're watching this video before the jetpack was added or before you've played with the jetpack update, let me know your thoughts on the ideas in this video. If you're watching after the update or after using the jetpack, also let me know your thoughts on the ideas in this video. I'm interested to see the perspective from both sides of the update. We will be talking about the jetpack's movement, height, fall damage, can you shoot while using it, concerns, balancing factors, its benefits, and more. All the ideas in this video are prior to any knowledge of how the jetpack will actually work. Today's video idea comes from the fact that the developers are adding a jetpack into the game, but also from MixLogic, who commented on my backpack idea video. I thought you said jetpack, maybe 5 seconds flying, no fall damage, limited fuel, maybe like the flamethrower. Pexol mentions a jumping potion that would be activated for 1 minute after consuming, and Assassin Gamer 22 mentions boots that have different abilities, one of them being the ability to double jump. In the background, you're seeing some duo gameplay where we drop in at Pleasant, we take down a team shortly after we get our first weapons, a second duo thinks they can pick us off, they charge us, so I drop down to the first story of the house, work my way back up to surprise them, and then as we're leaving Pleasant, we have a duo sneak up on us. Once we reach a hilltop next to Pleasant, we spot an enemy team heading to the hilltop across from ours. A sniper battle ensues. It was evident that I was not about to win that fight with my level of potato aim. As the circle closes in, we are stuck at the edge of Loot Lake between the last two teams. While fighting, we had to constantly be weary and check the other team behind us. If you enjoy the gameplay, give the video a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I do Fortnite idea videos weekly with plans for more content in the near future. Some idea videos I've done have made their way into the game, some probably will never make their way into the game, some we could still see implemented, and still others have made their way into the game before I can even make videos on your comments because of how fast Fortnite updates their game. It's awesome to see a game add so much so often. This one will be interesting as we know for sure the idea is going to happen, so we can compare ideas directly to its real implementation. Let's get into it. The main deciding factor of whether this item will be overpowered, or if you will like it or not, I think will be its flight path and how its flight path works. There are two schools of thought. The first one being you press a button to activate the jetpack, in which case it sends you airborne at a certain trajectory. The second being you hold down a button to thrust forward into the air, allowing you to have a bit more control over speed and height. This is the first item I've seen announced to be in the game that has upset people. I think I get where that stems from. Call of Duty. Jetpack has such a negative connotation to it these days in online games. I think that directly stems from Call of Duty. Have you seen the amount of dislikes on the Infinite Warfare trailer? I'm pretty sure it's the most disliked video on YouTube. What people must realize is that jetpacks and three-dimensional movement aren't inherently poor game design. There are plenty of online games that pull off those systems well. It failed in COD because of poor implementation and because it didn't fit the game, not because it was three-dimensional movement. Another thing people must realize is that the developers adding this item into Fortnite are completely different developers than the COD franchise. Not only that, but these developers listen closely to player feedback. I remember when the bush item was first announced, a lot of people were concerned that it could be overpowered. Yet, while the item is fun to use and has some situational uses, it's really quite the opposite of OP. So I trust this item to be perfectly fine. That's not to say it doesn't have some concerns we should address and some balancing factors, because after all, this is an idea video, so let's talk about all the ways in which it could work. The major factor in my opinion is its flight path, and we mentioned two ways that could work. Regardless if it's a press of a button to activate or hold for continuous uplift, the concern is it being random movement. A game with 3D movement has the potential to add in a layer of skill. You have a whole new arsenal of tactics and maneuvers at your disposal to outplay the enemy. This is something a game like Titanfall excels in greatly and a game like COD fails at greatly, because one game balances the moves to heighten the skill gap and reward good play, while the other feels random and has no consequences of bad play. What happens when you're getting shot at from behind, or getting sniped at, or simply think there could be someone in the distance aiming to snipe you? You jump, you zigzag, you make yourself, or at least you should, a harder target to hit, because a moving target is a harder target to hit. I'm okay with the jumping around, that's more than fine, but if all of a sudden I'm shooting at someone and they spam press a button and they're zigzagging at high speeds in the air unpredictably, how is that fair to me? There's no way I'm going to hit them simply because they spammed a button. You get what I'm saying? I digress. How high can you jump with the jetpack? I think if you just press a button, 2 stories tall. If you hold down the button, it's infinite, so long as you have fuel. Press of a button equals a springboard type of effect that you could use as soon as you hit the ground, but goes a specific height and distance every time. Its height and distance would change slightly depending on terrain. For instance, if you jumped off a hill or building, you would be in the air longer. Similarly, if you jumped on top of a building from the ground, you'd be in the air for a shorter amount of time, though the jump distance is identical. If you hold down the button, you hold it down to thrust forward in whatever direction you're facing. This way would allow for more gameplay options and allow you to have more control over your character. If you held the button, you could go up slightly, then point your character forward to fly above the ground at a faster speed than running, maybe allowing you to outrun the storm. Or maybe you jetpacked off a hill, you're about to fall to your death, but you hold the button to slow your descent and land softly. That brings up the next question: should you take fall damage? I think yes. Yes with the press of a button, and yes with holding a button. Including fall damage instantly makes the jetpack a high skill item, or at the very least a high skill, high reward item. Think about it, 2 stories isn't enough to take damage, so if you're jetpacking on the ground, you'll be fine. However, you want to jetpack over to the hilltop beside you. You can make it, but you descend 3 stories in the process. You would take the same amount of damage as if you had simply fallen from that height. And if you took fall damage from the hold the button down idea, you would have to manage your fuel. Do you want to take fall damage from your most recent jetpack move so you can save fuel for one more jump? Or do you descend gracefully, taking no damage but are unable to use it again? An important decision is to be made, and I think it makes sense to take fall damage. The jump pad deploys your umbrella. There are no wings or umbrella to hold onto while jetpacking. I keep mentioning fuel for the jetpack. If you follow my idea series, you will probably think back to my flamethrower idea where you use fuel as power. You acquire fuel at the gas station spread out across the map. This idea brings a new purpose to certain areas of the map and a whole new metagame. I imagine the jetpack would work identical to that idea where you go to the gas station, so long as it's not been destroyed, and fuel up. And by that, I mean you hold down a button and it refills a certain percentage of your fuel meter every second. Aside from the jetpack just being cool, I think there are other main benefits to the item. The first being, you can literally get the jump on your opponent. Instead of building up to player's base, you can now jetpack up to it, as long as it's not too high. Sure, they would hear the jetpack or even see a smoke trail behind you, but they would still have less time to react than you building a ramp and running up it. Getting up small hills without building would be huge. Not only would it save time and resources, but if an enemy doesn't see construction on top of the hill, they will assume no one is up there. Not only does that keep you stealthy, but if they go up the hill, they're going to have to build, giving away their position instead of using the ramp you had previously made. Those benefits are similar to my grappling hook video, go check that out if you missed it. A jetpack could potentially allow you to outpace the storm, it would allow for more options in combat and while traversing the map. I think the item should be worn on your back while in your inventory so enemies can tell you're wearing it, and maybe if it's shot, it would explode doing a hefty amount of damage. What if you could place the item on the ground, use it as bait, and when a squad runs by to get it, you shoot it and blow it up? I like the idea, but maybe that's more of a trap idea for another video. And lastly, I almost forgot, can you shoot while using the jetpack? Sure, why not? I won't be a party pooper and tell you no. I think being able to shoot while hovering or flying through the sky would be overpowered, don't get me wrong, so here's what I would do to balance it. You can't aim down sights, and your hipfire spread is greater than normal. This would make it hard to land enough hits in order to down someone, and I think it would be enough to balance it. What do you guys think of the benefits of the jetpack? Have you used the item yet, and if so, what do you think of its implementations? Would you have done it differently or implemented my ideas in some way? Who knows, maybe I hit the nail on the head with how it works. Probably not, but it's still cool to look at the jetpack from a different perspective. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for Fortnite and all things gaming. This has been Toast, and I'll see you on the next video.